Hello and welcome to another episode of Alex's After Dark Show. It's been a little while. I've been doing other things for the while that I've been gone. But yeah, I'm back. And yeah, we're starting with a thing that is going to take a long time. Not specifically this one, but the grander perspective. If that makes any sense right now, which it probably won't because you need context. Anyways. Okay, so this will make sense in a second. So, what I'm doing here is, because these are the drawings for the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 thumbnails, these drawings are all going to, rather than making 1,000,000,001 PSDs, I decided I was just going to make, or PSD files, that is. I decided that I was just going to do them all on the one image. Now, you might think to yourself, it's a lot to fit into one small image. But, if I zoom out, like so, you'll see that it's not just a very small image. And yeah, obviously, so the left side over here, that's the Capcom side, the right side is the Marvel side. You'd think Marvel vs. Capcom would be the other way around. Who cares? Anyways, as well, another thing that is important to mention is that this image is probably I'm probably going to need to extend the size of this because there's a lot of characters in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and over time I'm going to have to draw all of them. But yeah. This is in like a kind of like a mural format, as I was kind of touching on there before. So yeah, that's the kind of idea, at least. That'll be a big mural, kind of like if you've seen the Smash Brothers Ultimate mural, kind of like that. That's the idea, anyway. Something to that effect, before it's all the characters, everyone is here, that sort of thing. But yeah, we're starting with Ryu, and I've just got Wolverine here for perspective, basically. And also just to show you that left side Capcom, right side Marvel. But yeah, something else I actually want to talk about, may as well do this while I'm starting, is that you might be able to tell here, but so I used full body reference for Ryu, which means I'm going to need to fiddle with some of these proportions as I'm going. I'm going to need to make his arms a little bigger. I think I'll make his arms a little bigger anyways. I don't know if I need to. We'll see. We'll see. I might need to make his hands bigger. But yeah. So, I did not use full body reference for Wolverine. I only used a head, just for scale, and to get the tilt here. He's got like a slight downward tilt, so I wanted to get that going. So I only used head reference, and then the rest I just figured out by just sketching it out. And I'll see where that's appropriate. I suppose if I have a pose that is appropriate, I'll use a pose. But if I can't find one, like this pose was a real pain this would have been a real pain to find something like this. So I just scribbled it out myself. But yeah, so from here on out we're going to be turning off Wolverine because we don't need him on. He was just there for scale. And yeah, you can see it's not very big, so these shouldn't take too long to do, in theory. These should be reasonably fast. I shouldn't be spending like hours, well, more than 2 hours, doing these anyways. I don't really want to be spending that long doing each individual one because that'll take forever. But I've also got my headphones on, primarily just for this reason here, so that my hair doesn't fall in front of my face, because that was a persistent issue that kept happening in these other videos. And also it's because I want to listen to podcasts while I'm not talking, because I realize that I get bored whenever it's very quiet like that. And so I just decided no one's gonna stop me. No one's gonna try to stop me even. No one cares. So I'm just gonna listen to podcasts while I'm not talking, and so I'll just reach over there and just press play while I'm doing monotonous stuff. So yeah. I guess I'll do that while I draw Ryu's hair, which is the most frustrating part of Ryu to draw. Now, so, something which is after occurring to me is that this is because in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, they were still using the, well, with Ryu at least, for any of the Street Fighter characters, actually, they were still using the Street Fighter Alpha sprites. Which means that this is technically supposed to be the younger Ryu. Well, he'll have the white headband anyway, that won't be red. His gloves will still be red. But yeah, it's just something which is occurring to me, even though his face here is clearly modelled after the older Ryu. Doesn't really matter. I'm probably going to skew his hair slightly more brown to accommodate for that though, because that's how younger Ryu tends to look. He has slightly browner hair, whereas older Ryu's hair is black. Don't know why that's different. Don't know why they decided to make it different, but such is how it is. But another thing which I'm after thinking of is that perhaps not in this video, but definitely in the next one, there will be almost certainly Marvel vs. Capcom 2 music playing. And I always remember that there was an awful lot, there's still people nowadays who talk about the music from Marvel vs. Capcom 2 as though it's a mistake. As though the sounds of jazzy lounge music do not fit a high octane, fast-paced fighting game. It perhaps does not fit that, but it's good music. It's still good music. I still greatly enjoy it. If you watched any of my Marvel Nemesis drawings, you'll know that I enjoy it enough to play it there. Because I ain't playing any of that Marvel Nemesis music. That stuff was no good, no bueno. No, it's not bad. It's just not my bag. And yeah, I also have to draw these torn bits, but I'm keeping them thick just so that it looks alright. It doesn't look terrible. It doesn't look weird. Because whenever they get thinner, it's gonna start looking really messy. And that's something which I'm kind of trying to avoid here, is it looking too messy. I kind of want to keep everything within a certain margin of messiness here. And yeah, something which I'm going to try and do is I'm going to make his hands bigger. I think that'll make it look a little better. Because as it stands, I think that's part of the issue here with why his arms don't look right to me. And part of it is that, yeah, his arms could maybe stand to be a little buffer. But yeah, I don't want him to be a monster. Because this is the thing, I want like characters like Ryu and Wolverine who are pretty buff, but they're still kind of human shaped. I kind of want them to stand out from characters like Hulk, who's going to be basically a bubble man, or Venom, or any of these types of characters who are really big. Or hell, even whenever he gets a Guile, he's going to be pretty big as well. So that's the type of thing I'm just trying to kind of be conscious of how big I make them. Because like, Ryu is supposed to be buff. He's supposed to be a big man, but I don't know how big I want him to be in comparison to some of the other characters. Because yeah, I don't want him to be like colossal. Because yeah, don't get me wrong, he should be big. He should be very big. But within reason. This line. That's another thing which I don't think I've talked too much about, but well, I've talked a lot about line thickness and stuff like that, and like your line weight on certain materials and things like that. So if you're trying something darker, you should use darker lines. So when it comes to Ryu's hair, he's going to have a dark brown hair, so that's why his lines are dark on his hair. And then on the skin generally lighter colored. Even in comparison to clothing, the skin color, or not even skin color, but skin lines shouldn't be that pronounced, because making them too pronounced is going to make it look strange, because no one's skin looks like that. Well, unless you've got a condition. But generally speaking, most people's skin isn't going to look like that. So it's something to just be aware of, that if there are lines and like bits of tension in people's skin, it's going to form thin lines. Very thin, like almost invisible lines that you don't really have to... that you're not going to be seeing much of within reason. Unless it's like this kind of bulging muscle here, I kind of want to emphasize that to a degree. I want to emphasize that within reason. And then this kind of area as well here, because that's like the cleft in the elbow, you would see that. Again, to a degree. Yeah. So something which I want to briefly mention is some of the musculature lines, which I've already done, obviously. I did those ages ago, in terms of the drawing, so to speak. But yeah, something which I want to touch on about them is that there's a lot of this, obviously, which is going to be very influenced by how Bengus draws these characters, because Bengus was the one who did the art for Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And so, naturally, the way that I've drawn a lot of the muscle lines on Ryu is very similar to that of how Bengus draws it, and even the way that he draws Ryu's gi is very similar, because Ryu's gi is very baggy and heavy, so these areas here where at the belt it kind of bunches up and hangs below, and it makes him look much wider than he actually is. That's all very much taken from Bengus. And yeah, a lot of the stuff, like the way that he draws the kind of detailing on the gi, like these bits here, which are on obviously real gis, and that's something which I want to kind of just mention there, just so that you know that that's kind of where I'm taking my influences and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm trying to kind of, I don't know, I suppose formulate something here which is convenient and easy to do, but which is also very much kind of very detailed, very much how I'd normally draw, but just taking with little bits and pieces, just so that you can see the influences a little bit more. And yeah, to be honest, I'm debating whether or not I'm going to do dots at this point. I think I'm going to do them, but I'm just going to do them much lighter than I would normally do, because I don't want to detract from any of the visuals that I've currently got going on. And also, this is probably gonna have this. I'll be having the texture, but you won't see it until I'm done the mural, because I'll just stretch it over the whole thing rather than doing it now. It's the same with gradient maps. Won't be doing any of that yet. We'll be waiting until done the rest of it. But I can tell you what gradient map I intend to use. The gradient map I intend to use is the very same one I use for a lot of the stuff. That being the kind of the more autumnal one. That's the one I tend to like the most. But that also fits the color palette of a lot of the concept art for Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And yeah, that kind of fits more with the visual style of everything going on. That doesn't look great. Oops. So yeah, we just gotta kind of be careful, I suppose, with the way that we add in some of these lines. We want it to look like it's bunching up, but we don't want it to look like he's actually filling this out. We want it to look baggy, not filled. So this is the thing. Like this line here at the edge of the kind of the bottom of the pecs. It's fine that that's there, but it's not something you would actually see. A lot of these lines would be straight or kind of horizontal. It would be either all horizontal or all straight. You wouldn't really be seeing too much kind of crossing of those things. Like a lot of it would probably be kind of going down like that because it tucks into the belt. So a lot of it being pulled down like that, but since it's baggy and it dangles over, not really sure how that would look in a sense. Right, so there's our details done. Now, something which I want to mention is I'm no Quentin Tarantino, so I can't draw feet properly. I rarely draw bare feet. So, yeah. I guess maybe it's something I'm going to have to get used to, actually, because pretty much, well, there's going to be at least 3 characters, including Ryu, that being Ryu, Ken, and Akuma, who are going to have bare feet. So I'm going to need to get used to that to a degree, anyways. I think Akuma has sandals. Anyways, yeah, so that's something which I'm going to have to get used to, anyways. But yeah, so something which I want to touch on here is the fact that a lot of the parts on the lower body have very straight lines to them, like all this bit around here with the bottom of the give where that's pointing up towards the belt. So the reason why I do that is to draw your eyes upward. Simple. I don't really need you to look down here, so I have all the points, and the points, they come into their sharpest piece pointing upward. So it draws your eyes to the face, and then this middle line here draws your eyes up, and then this side draws your eye up, right to his eyes, and then to his head, or to his arms, and all this stuff. So that's the basic idea of that. And generally speaking, most people don't look below the belt. It's why Rob Liefeld has gotten away with the feat that he's done for as long as he has. I'm dunking on everybody today. Don't know why. Don't know where this has come from. But yeah, well, start our dots here. The comedy is, I always take like subtle little breaks in between cuts in these, and this is going to be one of those times where I'll call that out because I'm going to take a break right now. But this is the thing, if this were a real show and I had ad breaks, this would be the time where I'd take one. So yeah, back in 5 minutes. Or if this was a stream or something like that, yeah, you'd be able to tell. Already an hour in, jeez. This is going to be like 3 hours. Okay, I'm back. That 5-minute break turned very quickly into what was inevitably a full hour-long break. So, yeah, let's do these dots. There's nothing which I was going to say there. I already made the joke about the feet. Yeah, I'm trying to think, what was I going to say? Yeah, I'm not sure. I think I need to make this smaller. Make this brush smaller just so that I can see what I'm doing. But yeah, I don't intend to do much with the dots. I just kind of intend to cover a few little areas. I think, to be honest, the dots are, yeah, just going to cover a very small amount of area, and it's just going to be kind of like a little guide as to what to kind of follow for as I'm going through and doing the shading. And yeah, with the shading, what I intend to do is, obviously, as I normally do, there's going to be the purple and the yellow, and then on whenever I do the light line is going to be on the purple side. So that'll give it a nice kind of rim light on both sides. That's something which I've been doing recently in my own time. That's making it look a lot better, I find. So I kind of prefer that look. God, what was I going to say before? I really don't know. Now, that's how that's done. And yeah, just to reiterate, we're not going to be doing any of the kind of the gradient map stuff. It's just going to be, we're doing a, we're going to be stopping at the kind of shading, and that'll be it. We're not doing any backgrounds, not doing any of that stuff. Backgrounds, gradient maps, textures, all that stuff will be holding off until the last character, which God knows who that'll be. Might be some random weirdo character. I don't know. There's a lot of weirdos in Marvel vs. Capcom 2. We're starting with probably the most normal character in the game. But yeah, like, I mean, we might need to put a color on the background just to kind of make my life easier. Whoops, didn't need to go in that much. Yeah, probably do stuff like that just to make my life a little bit easier. Let me turn that down to 20. But yeah, like, this is the thing I even mentioned before. Like, certain things are going to be a little bit easier because it's a case of where the there's not as many colors with this version of Ryu because this is the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 version, which is based on the Street Fighter Alpha version. And so he's the younger one, which means he's got the white headband, and that means it's even less red in his design, and it's a very, very simple design. It's mostly just kind of, yeah, it's mostly just, my brain's really failing me today. I think that little break that I took, it really didn't help my, my mental acuity today. God. But yeah, yeah, as I say, it's mostly just white, the design. Which does mean that, yeah, we're almost certainly going to need to put a background color on here, which I'm going to do now, actually, just for the sake of it. Just for the sake of doing it, so let's just, I don't know, let's make it blue for now. Make it that kind of like a soft blue, just so that's not hurting your eyes, dear viewer. Get our skin color back, whoops. And then we can keep going. Oh, but yeah, I think I've kind of said every major thing I want to say at this point, so we'll probably just kind of blast through the colors, and if there's anything that springs to mind, I guess I'll make a note of it, or I'll make mention of it. But yeah, we'll probably just blast through the rest of this here now. Okay, so we've done the colors. As I said before, there really aren't very many of these, and they have mercifully not very much red. I decided to make his red very, very bright, and his white very white. Still the kind of normal, like, slightly off-white that Ryu's white normally falls on. But yep. So yeah, this is the thing. I decided to make his red very vibrant, just to kind of, for the sake of making it look a little nicer. And then yeah, so turn that down to 40%. I need to get a few colors ready. First things first, I gotta do this, our normal little trick for that, for just making my life easier later on. And then I want to get a very, very vibrant purple, just so that this comes out a better, a good vibrant purple and a good bright yellow. And that should make this pretty good. And then yeah, retrieving these colors later on will be pretty easy, because we just go back into this. We don't need to put a little dot or anything of these. And yeah, realistically this is about it. We don't really have to, I don't think I'll do my typical summary at the end. I think I'll probably just be, just kind of say my goodbyes. Need to zoom in. But yeah, I still feel like there was something I intended to say that I just didn't. Which is quite a frustrating thing to happen. It's what happens whenever you get old kids. And yeah, it's just definitely intended on saying something earlier on, but I just cannot retrieve such information. Yeah. So I might even see that a little bit. Because yeah, we don't want him we don't want it to seem like there's too harsh shading. You know what? I might even remove that because there really isn't that harsh shading on this. There shouldn't be, anyways. It's pretty simple what we're doing here. This shouldn't even take like 20 minutes. Which means this is a sub 2-hour video, which is nice. Nice whenever that happens, and it's nice whenever I'm talking for a lot of it as well. Whenever it's not like a 4-hour recording, but I'm barely speaking. I've yet to actually have a full 4-hour recording, by the way. Well, technically that the Batman drawing was a 4-hour recording, but that wasn't a full art show video like this is. So that's the thing. This at least is a full art show video, but it's a short one, mercifully. So that means that yeah, the thing that was cranking up the time on these was absolutely the dots. The thing that I was concerned about already was that I feel like I'm taking way too long on these dots. And then yeah, as soon as I speed up the dots or remove them entirely, I'm getting a full drawing done in less than an hour. Or I said less than an hour, less than 2 hours. And yeah, I've already talked about how a lot of my kind of choices for these are very much kind of after Bengus. A lot of my choices in general for a lot of the drawings that I do are very kind of that way inspired. Of where it's kind of, I have very kind of particular things that I'm being influenced by at any one given time. And it's nice whenever that happens, whenever you can kind of see the influences, but they're not like so overpowering. It's not like, oh, this guy's just trying to do a Bengus. It's like, oh, there's a Bengus in here, but there's also something else. And that's kind of what I'm going for here. There's little bits of it. Like, I'm not doing the hatching that Bengus does on his shading for the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 drawings, and that was obviously a decision after Jim Lee. Which is funny because it's always this kind of thing where it's like artists inspiring artists, and that kind of goes and goes and goes, and you can just travel that rabbit hole down as far as you want to go. A lot of the decisions that I'm specifically making here are more towards Bengus, even though may not be immediately obvious. And yeah, like as I said at the start, this realistically should look a little younger, but I decided not to because that's less of the iconic Ryu, even though I still gave him the right color scheme. I just decided not to have it be I decided not to just have him look that young, because I don't know. I mean, he still looks young. He doesn't look like he's in his 40s or anything, but not to say that being in your 40s is old. Just yeah. Yeah, this will look interesting when it's done, I think. This kind of big mural design idea. Because yeah, there'll be a rake of different characters in it, and then, as I said earlier, I'll almost certainly need to make this this sheet bigger, because currently it's 3 inches in height and then 10 inches wide. Almost certainly going to need to add a few more inches to the width as I'm going, just to, I guess, see. But this is the kind of the starter point, is yeah, this kind of 10 inches. And we'll just keep going with that until I actively need to increase the size. And yeah, like, I mean, I'm making this shading maybe a little too heavy in certain areas, but I can always just do this. I can always just do that and just retreat it back a little bit. Does that make things a little easier just to place it a little bit like that and then retreat the shading back a touch. Just so that it's not too dark, because yeah, we do still want this to seem kind of bright and colourful, and so that's why I'm using kind of really bright reds like this in there. I mean, our shading's gonna make it a little darker anyways, so we don't need to worry too much about it. But it'll just kind of pop a little bit more. And again, that's the kind of colouring that you see in the game. It's very much that kind of very vibrant colouring. Yeah. Well, check back in a few minutes, I guess. Yeah, no, that break that I took earlier on really accentuated the dark encroaching on this room. Given the fact that, yeah, it is now getting dark, even though it's the summer now, so that doesn't happen until much later in the day. So, yeah, it's kind of funny that we're at that point now where that's how long I was screwing around, even though we're only just on the 2-hour mark here and I'm basically finished. Yeah, just reorganizing my hair a little bit. But yeah, so yeah, we need to do our light line, which will take a mere few moments. Yeah, basically done. Basically done. And yeah, I am mostly satisfied. Just make sure we put our light line there. And zoom back in, we'll very quickly do that, and then I will sign off. Now, just as the sun sets, I've finished Ryu, and that's number 1 of 50 something, I think. I think that's how many characters there are. Something along those lines. There's a lot of them. And mercifully, these aren't going to take that long if we're using this as a metric, because this one only took, what, 2 hours? And some of them are going to be a lot quicker. But yeah, so next time will be Wolverine. This time we didn't really talk about anything in particular. We talked a little bit about some of the designy kind of stuff. We talked a little bit about kind of certain quickening methods. I mentioned how I've changed the kind of the way that I do the the way that I do the light line now. So the light line is now on the darker side, so that makes the light line pop a little bit more, and also gives you that nice kind of contrasting rim light, and it gives you the 3-point lighting almost, of where it's like the mild lighting on the left, on the left, and then you get the shade in the middle, and then you get that sharp light line around the right hand edge. Now, obviously, I think I'll probably use this style of shading on everything. I don't think I'll flip it either way on the Marvel side. I think it's just going to be the same either way. And we're not going to worry about backgrounds or gradient maps or any of that stuff until we're at the end. So yeah, I think that's everything. Next time we're going to be doing Wolverine. And I'll probably have done a few more bases by that point, so I might have something to show off, maybe, whenever we get to that stage. Who knows? But yeah, thanks for watching. If you liked the video, do what you'd normally do. I don't want to push you in any one direction. I'd rather if you did like it, or subscribed or what have you. But yeah, I suppose, yeah, if you decide to watch the next video, I'll see you then, and bye-bye.